Hi,
Hello.
welcome back to your telesummit. Your wait is over. I'm Jean Nitre, your host, and I'll introduce my guest in just a second. And what we do here is we talk to several experts in weight loss to put forth their expertise and practical things you can do to be empowered in your quest to lose weight. And so, my guest today is Tim Ray. He's the founder of United Intentions Foundation. Hi, Tim. Thanks for being here with us today.
Hi, Jean. Thank you so much. It's a privilege to be here with you.
Excellent. I'm really looking forward to this conversation because it's having to do with the power of our mind to manifest, in this case, weight loss. So, but first of all, why don't you go into a little bit about where you came from, your story in your recent history?
Sure. Well, again, my name's Tim Ray, the founder of the United Intentions Foundation, but I started out my career in senior care business. I was working my way up in nursing homes and assisted living properties and got all the way to running about 30 properties around the world, around the country, I should say. And then I decided to go into my own business and I started my own home healthcare company. And I learned through that process how important it is to have a strong focus and an appreciation of your intentions. So it helped me lead to actually creating the United Intentions Foundation was my experience in senior care and also understanding the how important it is to understand your thoughts and have control over your thoughts more so than letting them run wild as they do any given day and any given person, right? So that's kind of how I got to the foundation through senior care business.
Excellent. Okay. All right. Well, why don't you talk with us about intentions and their power and whatever you know about it?
Sure. Well, one thing is for sure is science, quantum physics science specifically, is catching up, and epigenetics is all catching up to our understanding of thought.
Would
And
you
in
say
fact,
the word again? A lot of people don't understand epigenetics. So,
uh, epigenetics is a study of our genes and the effects of our thoughts on our genes too, as well. And in fact, one of the leading pioneers in that industry was Dr. Bruce Lipton, or is Dr. Bruce Lipton, and he discussed specifically how thoughts, we have to realize, are actual physical properties. Just like a microwave that occurs, there's a certain wave formation to it, or a radio wave, like how you and I, Gene, are communicating right now. It's invisible, but it's there. We don't see it through our five senses, but we know it's there because we wouldn't be communicating right now, right?
right.
Same thing with, yeah,
And,
same thing with same thing with thoughts. Thoughts are there, and they not only go within our body and affect our body internally, but now we know thoughts travel outside of our body. And
yes.
how do we know that, right? We know that through just measurements. We have tools now that can actually measure our energy because we're all made up of energy. Thoughts are also a certain type of energy. Now we know how and what our thoughts affect in our body, but we don't know how they perhaps travel outside. We think maybe on photons, but we're not sure. But we know they actually do because they're the end results of it. In fact, they have these machines now, kind of like when you're measuring your brain activity, they'd hook all the electrodes up to your brain. Now they just have a wand right outside your head and they can measure your brain activity. So what does that say? If it's not, the thoughts are not inside your head, the thoughts are around you. And if they're around you, then how far do they go out? And that's the exciting time of our science. We're realizing that thoughts are physical properties and they affect, and different types of thoughts affect us differently. And that's a whole nother topic.
Yes. And I want to interject here that Dr. Bruce Lipton, who you referenced a minute ago, who really discovered this, um,
Mhm.
he did several scientific studies. So it actually proves that our genes are not determining any outcome. He's
Yes, absolutely. 5%. Dr. Bruce Lipton says 5% of anything on the genes are being carried from one generation to the next, or what your father from your mother to your child is about a 5% influence. The rest is nature, or nurture, I should say, and whatever happens in our environment. And why is that so important? Because it gives us the control over our bodies again. Because prior to that, we would just say, "Oh, it's just genetic. I'm always going to be fat. I'm always going to be overweight. I'm always never going to be this way." And that is not true. We not only have the power of our intentions, but we also have the power of our intentions that affects our body and on every level. And I'll give you a real good example if you want, but is that we know through epigenetics, Gene, that our cells the brain of our cells is not inside the nucleus. We've been told a lie for all these years. The actual brain of the cell is in the cell membrane outside. And these little perceptors on the outside of the cell membrane analyze what's going on in the environment. And then it tells the nucleus, which is really the gonads, to reproduce, for the nucleus to reproduce whatever it needs based on what the antennas, based on what these perceptors are analyzing in the environment. And that's why, and how do we know that to be true? Because we've taken the nucleus, Dr. Bruce Lipton and his scientists taken the nucleus out, and guess what happened to the cell? It still functioned, it still secreted, it still had food for about a couple of weeks until they couldn't reproduce any more DNA because the gonads was taken out, and it died. But it shows you that the brain of the cell is in the cell membrane and not in the nucleus, and the environment determines what happens to your body, and that's really big key.
Well, and it's not, and part of that environment, as I understand it, that you're just referencing, is our thoughts about what's in our environment, is how we perceive our environment. That is very determinant of okay, we're talking about vibration now, that if we perceive many things around us as stressful and threatening, then we get into that fight or flight mode, and that is causing stress and causing weight gain and causing us to not be able to lose weight very much. But if we perceive our environment around us as being friendly and supportive and, the intention of my new diet is going to work kind of thoughts that we have, we're going to have a lot more success. So our perception has a lot to do with the outcome.
Perception, you hit it around the nose, Gene. Perception is actually everything.
Yes.
Because right now, if you just closed your eyes and pretended to bite into a lemon, you actually, what would happen right now if you pretend to bite into a lemon, because you know what a lemon tastes like, and of course it's not really a lemon there, you're imagining it, you're perceiving a lemon. What will happen is there will be a biochemical reaction that you will feel, you will sense that kind of sourness of a lemon. And your subconscious mind is all it knows is the present. So if it perceives that it's a lemon biting into it, it's going to react to the biochemical reactions in your body and actually manipulate your molecules and producing certain neuropeptides and certain biochemicals within something that was never there. It was made up. It was imaginary. And that's the power of how you just said of your perception is everything. So the key into weight loss, from my opinion, yes, you could have the best techniques and you could learn the best ways how to get to a weight and you could get there. But one, you have to maintain the weight. And two, you want to be able to get there with the least amount of stress, because when you add the stress, you're stressing your body out and it has a hard time to maintain that level that you're looking for. So if you could use your power of your intentions to actually get yourself to that weight, as well as maintaining that weight, you actually affect your body biochemically in a whole nother way because of the type of thoughts you're using. And I think this is what's important, Gene. I think you all need to understand is that it depends on your type of thoughts. Like you said earlier, positive thoughts and negative thoughts. You say, well, what's the difference? There are thoughts of thought. It's a property, but no, it's not. They actually have a different wave formation. When you look at a positive thought, it has a fast frequency like this. When you look at a more negative thought, it has a longer frequency like this. And so they actually have two different types of properties based on the type of thought you're actually choosing. I say negative, positive. It could be happy, it could be joyful or fearful, whatever the definition you want to add to it. But there's separate types of thoughts and properties for that. And why that's important is because it affects our DNA, affects our individual cells to where it either reproduces and recreates brand new DNA never seen before, or it gets into fight and flight and shuts down and doesn't produce anything. So, and we know from these Russian scientists who've done studies, and you can everybody check it out on their own if they like to, but where these scientists have analyzed the DNA, they call it junk DNA, 97% of the DNA they don't look at, and only look at the protein DNA. But now they realize that this junk DNA, quote unquote junk DNA, is very important. It's more of a volume control or a switch to turning on and assessing your actual creation of brand new DNA or RDA in your body, in an individual cell. And why it's important to have the thoughts? Because if you have a low frequency thought going like this, which is a fearful or a low vibrational thought, it's not going to trigger that on that DNA it would most likely only trigger some of the protein areas, the 3%, that there's 6%, the 7% that they're actually not dealing. But if you have a fast frequency, a high positive thought, it's going to trigger that volume control on that DNA, which will then allow it to reproduce and create brand new DNA. And I'm simplifying it very much so, and there's a lot more steps and complications to that to understand it. But that's why it's so critical to use positive intentions to create and actually epigenetically affect your creation of brand new DNA in your body to assist you with weight loss, to assist you with weight maintenance, because it's critical, because one shuts your creation down and one allows you to grow. Fear versus love.
Right. And I just want to get a little bit more practical here. So in my practice of weight loss, I see it with my friends, and I see it all around in my society here. Women will look at their mothers, their aunts, and see at menopause time and postmenopause that they've gained weight, and they're like, well, this is going to happen to me too, because it's genetically programmed, which is incorrect. And so when we educate ourselves, like we're doing right here, to understand how the thinking can affect our environment, i.e. our bodies, that gives us a lot more power, wouldn't you say?
Oh, absolutely. And it can be very deceitful too, because if you're born into an overweight family, your mother and father are both overweight, you're going to find out it's not just genetically you're going to be overweight, but you're going to find out that the eating habits, you're going to find out whatever the case. And of course, if it doesn't fall into that 5%, right? You're going to look at the eating habits, where you go, what type of food you eat, and it's all going to seem like, well, I'm heavy. Well, maybe you guys didn't have the best decisions on what foods you eat or how much you ate, or your portion sizes, or the quality of the food, or whatever the case. And then you're going to go to the same places because you're with your family, and these places may not be supportive of weight loss or a healthy diet or a healthy balance. And then before you know it, you've conditioned your body over the years, especially at a young age, to be overweight. So now you have this, you created these neural pathways in your brain that are very familiar with making choices and decisions that will cause overweight. And so you have to be very careful, not just to say, oh, it's hereditary. No, if you really look at the decisions and choices that you have been making since a little kid, especially if you're brought up in a family that doesn't have an appreciation for a healthy weight, you will find that you're making the same choices and decisions that led you to that size that you are at that time, right? At the time, whether it's now or in the past, because of what you modeled. And the most influential way of changing behavior or following behavior is through modeling. And you covet what you see every day. You model what you see every day. And that is not only psychology, but that's also neurology. That's where, like I said earlier, you are creating neural pathways where you're going to have to now look at, okay, what road I've been going down here, how do I change that now? And that comes into a lot of issues that we're going to be talking about today, with using your power of your intentions to actually change those neural pathways.
And so what is an example of one or two ways that we can use the power of our intentions to change those neural pathways?
Well, to me, it's really creating a state of being, a state of what you want to experience. And it comes down to a little bit of science, but if you realize, like Einstein says and Tesla says, you want to understand life, you have to understand frequencies. And frequencies are really, like right now we're talking on a certain frequency on this radio program, right? And this summit you're doing. At the same time, we're actually vibrating at certain hertz as a human being. Everything is, this table is, everything's vibrating. So everything's energy, and everything's energy and vibrating at a certain frequency. So love has a certain frequency, like we said earlier, and fear has a certain frequency. We said earlier, positive thoughts, loving thoughts are faster, slower, fearful thoughts are much slower. So they have a distinct, separate frequencies. And so once you identify everything to be based on frequencies, what frequency do you want to attract in your life? And we'll bring in the law of attraction here in a minute, but once you realize you want to be more in a joyful frequency, or let's say for this example, you want to be maintaining a weight loss frequency, whatever your ideal weight is. What does it feel like to be now at 120 pounds? You are at 180 pounds, and now, even though you're still at 180, but you want to be at 120 pounds, what does it feel like? What am I doing in my day-to-day life when I'm at 120? I'm exercising more, I'm meeting more different people, I'm going out to eating healthier, I'm traveling a lot more. You want to get into that. What's my state of being of where, when I was at 120, how much happier was I? Was I happy? And if you were, what was the activities going on? What was your lifestyle at that point at 120? And when you start imagining that, like we did with the lemon earlier, you're creating the biochemicals and the thoughts not only within your body, but you're also creating outside of yourself to attract that type of that type of lifestyle again. And decisions you can make, that's the power of your intentions. You'll attract it outside as well as inside. Make those changes to get to that point. And people have to realize, once you associate with that level of frequency and imagine it, and use Dr. Joe Dispenza's principles, we call the placebo effect: expectancy, expectancy, meaning, and repetition. When you use those three variables, three principles, that will help you maintain, and we could talk about that a little bit later, will help you maintain that state of that frequency, which is basically your state of being at that weight loss that you feel most comfortable being at.
And I think this might be, excuse me, this might be a good time to talk about a vision board.
Yeah, definitely. Okay. So let's stick with those principles. And for example, we'll just use, say that you're using the word repetition. And repetition right now is so important, because going back, because right now if you're overweight, you're saying, I'm fat, my parents are like this, I'll never be skinny. You got to go into the subconscious self-talk that you're saying to yourself, because you got to, at least, you might not be able to change it right away, but you have to at least acknowledge what's going on, because that self-talk is repetition in its worst. You're repeating stuff over and over again that's going in the wrong direction. You know what I mean? And so that's repetition. So you want to use repetition, just the opposite. And so you could actually have a chance to see what your self-talk is, and start reversing that self-talk to where you're repeating now, hey, you know what? I'm only 5% genetic. The rest of it is really my environment. I can change this. Physically, science supports me. I can change. I can lose the weight, because I'm not determined by what my parents were. And so you can start reversing that talk. The next thing is expectation. You have to be able to understand, and if you understand the science, and you use science like that to help you create an expectation. Like, I expect to be down at 120 pounds because I was there before, and I enjoyed so many more things that I'm not enjoying now. I'm not happy with myself. And so when you expect to be there, and you use, such as, I now have the tools to get there. So now I'm went from, like we call it on our site, we call it the intention scale. And when you measure your degree of your belief that this intention is going to appear in your life, you start from definitely not, not likely, maybe, likely, definitely. Where are you in that frequency, in that state of being, on that intention appearing, that getting down to that 120 pounds? Well, right now I'm at a not likely. That's okay. You got to be honest with yourself, and you got to not only look at where you are consciously, but where you're up subconsciously. And you got to slow yourself down, and kind of sync the two in that one intention. And that's one thing we practice, like I said, on our site. What we do is syncing that subconscious beliefs. And we talked about different techniques you could use: EFTs, hypnosis, self-hypnosis, neuro-linguistic programming, things like that, to help sync that as well.
Yeah,
And I think
vision
that,
board and a vision board.
and then when you get to the meaning, that you got the repetition, the meaning, and now, I mean, the repetition, expectancy, now the meaning. The meaning is very powerful, because now you're adding importance to it. Why is it so important for me to be down at 120 pounds? Is because I visualize, and I see my all new friends here. I see a new set of friends. I see me being attracted to somebody who more attracted to me. I see my kids are happy about me eating right and making those type of decisions. I'm visualizing this because I can see it now. And when you have a chance to go to create a vision board of perhaps maybe old pictures of when you were 120 pounds, or somebody that was 120 pounds that you believe that you could get to, or whatever it may be. But when you have a chance to create that vision board where you could have that, you could have maybe eating healthy foods or whatever it may be, you're adding now meaning to it, because now you could see it. Now you see it. Now you got this perfect trifecta. You got expectancy, repetition, and now meaning. And it's powerful because it's triggering so many biochemical and thought reactions in your body and outside your body to attract that type of state of being that you're wanting to be in. And more importantly, Gene, to maintain that state of being. When you have that your state of being where you know you want to be in that joy, you want to have a certain level of thought patterns to keep you in this frequency, then you have an opportunity now to actually maintain that, because you know you're creating brand new neural pathways, because in this new state of being that you want to create, because of your vision boards, because of your expectancy, and because of your repetition.
And I think it's important to note that when we bring meaning to it, like if we have a photograph of how we want to look when we lose the weight, that meaning that we naturally apply to a vision or a projected outcome has emotion to it. And
Mm.
when you've got emotion in the picture, that's a very, very powerful frequency, rather than just the intellect, knowing about uh, the new brain neurons and all that kind of thing we were just talking.
Absolutely. Emotion is critical, because if you'll know, our heart, we have a heart. Our heart actually has a brain. It's a very powerful brain. Some people think is more powerful than our brain. And in fact, our heart can make decisions to the rest of our body before the brain ever even knows about it.
Yeah.
And so tapping into that heart, tapping into that emotional energy is like an amplifier. You know, it could go either way. If you're thinking very negative thoughts about yourself and you're very emotionally attached to that, you could amplify a lot of negative things in your life. That's how I believe cancer and all these different ailments are coming into people's lives, because they're amplifying it through their emotions. Now, if you could realize that you could turn that around at any time you want by amplifying it to a healthier body, then you'll realize your emotions are a key critical role in that, because every thought we have is tied to a some type of, and so we're talking trillions of reactions going on in our body at seconds.
Sure.
You
Yeah.
can't even really measure it, other than simplifying it so people can understand it. But we have neuropeptides tied to every feeling and thought we have, that it goes to a certain part of our body and affects it. You know, if I think negatively about my heart, or think negatively about whatever that may be going on in my body, or my fat, I'm putting a lot of negative energy into my fat on my body, then all I'm doing is I'm feeding that neuropeptide, you know. And so you really have to kind of look at your thoughts carefully of what are you literally feeding your body energetically, and what are you not feeding, what's healthy and what's not healthy.
Right. So it's important when we're making progress and losing weight to really notice it, maybe even track it and write it down and track and record that, my pants aren't fitting so snugly. That's usually a good measure, or my jeans
Yeah.
aren't fitting so snugly. And then that's giving, wonderful biofeedback to our brain, like, okay, this is working. It's working, instead of saying to yourself, oh, I'm still fat. I don't know how long this is going to take, but having
Yeah.
an optimistic attitude goes a long, long way,
Well,
right?
it's critical. It's critical because your subconscious, people have to realize, runs is 30,000 times more powerful than our conscious mind. And think about that, 30,000 times more powerful. It's almost hard to comprehend. You're looking at 95% of our brain is operated by the subconscious. That leaves us with 5%. Right, you and I are talking on a 5% level right now, right? And so you're looking at, you're going against the odds. But the more but the great part about this is the subconscious mind only understands the present moment. It doesn't understand future or past. So that's good for us, because like I said earlier with the lemon example, subconscious mind thinks it's biting into a lemon. So it's going to react. It's going to react because your mind, your thoughts said, okay, you're biting into a lemon. You imagined it, right? And so there's a biochemical reaction in your body by something that was imaginary. That's how limited your subconscious is, but yet still very powerful. So if you could turn that around in your benefit, okay, I know my subconscious mind is running the show here, basically. So what now? I need to talk to my subconscious mind and
Exactly.
and tell my subconscious mind to start thinking more positively. Like you said earlier, don't focus on the love handles. When you focus on, you know what? I still got the love handles, but my quadriceps looking much stronger now, or it's much more defined. Or, love handles are coming down. They're not where I wanted to be, but they're coming down. And focus on, and then because your subconscious mind only understands what you're saying. So it's saying my love handles are coming down, and your subconscious mind says, hey, your love handles are coming down. Let me make the biochemical reactions to help that intention come true.
Yes, and I think it's important to point out that when one starts to adopt this way of relating to their environment, their thinking, their actions, their words, of more of a expecting a positive result, that's very empowering. People get to see, the people I work with and do some of the work that I suggest using the mind, they get to see, wow, I'm powerful. I don't have to succumb to this junk food anymore.
Mm.
I don't have to succumb to the huge number of medications I'm taking, possibly. I know there's power in food, and I know that I can make these changes in lifestyle, and because I see it happening in my life. So that's very empowering, and I think it's an opportunity for us to take our power back. So I'd
Absolutely.
like you to tell us about so Tim has generously um, gifted me and anyone who else wants to be a member of this group on his website that will empower you to within the group environment, like a social media environment, but beyond, empower you to shed that excess weight. So why don't you tell us about that and the Freedom?
Sure. Sure. You could go to unitedintentions.org, and it was specifically created for people to understand how they can create, track, and manifest their intentions in whatever it is. And you had an opportunity to create a group on there, and the group's called the Weight Loss Group. And what's nice about this, it's similar to social media, whether it's Facebook or LinkedIn or things like that, but it's specifically around creating, tracking, and manifesting intentions. There's instructions on how to do that with those 3 principles we talked about on there. And for example, what's nice is when somebody is like, I have on the site, I have actually a weight loss intention. I wanted to get down to 180 pounds, and I'm in the process of that. And so as I'm posting, well, I'm down to 185 today. And I'm posting it on my page, and all my friends who are on there too, they see that and they're giving me positive reinforcement. Hey, Tim, this is great, man. That's great. You're down to 185 pounds. So I'm having this accountability aspect, but at the same time, I'm getting a lot of other positive energy from other people. And when you have a united intention, just with anything, with the power of prayer, people say, 2 or more people come together, right? It's much more magnified. The same process with the power of intentions. When you have all these folks come together, helping you with you manifesting that intention of me getting down to 180, especially in a defined group, you're helping each other. It's almost like a digital Weight Watchers group, where you kind of come in a group and you start talking with each other, but you could do it online and have friends all over the world. And so and what's nice is when you get online, you create the intention, but there's a 3-part process to it. You actually create the intention, and you're learning, and you visit it through repetition. And then you use we have the intention scale, measures your state of being, what frequency you want to be in. Like I said earlier, not likely to definitely not, or to definitely.
It measures your intention scale?
Yeah, intention scale measures your belief, your present belief in that intention, say that weight loss intention, appearing and happening into you in your life. So my subconscious mind believe that I could get down to 180 pounds? Where am I on that scale? I'm at a likely right now. Mine says I'm at a likely. I believe I'm going to do it. Somebody else is maybe at a not likely, and that's fine. You don't want to lie to yourself. You want to see, where am I in my present belief? Because as you now see things appear to you, for example, you went on you found a new, say you got a bike, and now you love riding bike. You didn't realize how much you love riding bikes, and you happen to drop about 10 pounds. It's fun having fun riding that bike. You'll track that on that your intention. You will say, hey, I just bought a bike and I just lost 10 pounds in 1 week. Now you believe I was at a not likely, just because of that experience that you tracked. You're now at a maybe of your state of being. And the higher you get up to the likely and to the definitely on the state of being, that expectancy scale, you will more likely manifest that goal, that weight loss, for example. And the other piece on here too, which is really great about the site, which really reinforces, because it focuses on one intention at a time. We call it creating your intentions, one intention, creating your passion, one intention at a time. And it focuses on the meaning. And this is what we talked earlier with the vision boards. We are tied into Pinterest. So you go on Pinterest, you pin it, you create a vision board of what that weight loss looks like for you today. Or you add videos for YouTube and you pin it. So every time you visit that intention on your site, you have pictures, you have videos, you have vision boards, you have what you're saying to your subconscious mind. You address what your subconscious mind thoughts are, but we turn it around where it's saying in more of a positive way now. You have your repetition, you have your intention that's written in the present format, so your subconscious mind can believe it. And now on top of that, you have the social media aspect of your friends helping you manifest that intention of weight loss.
Right, exactly. And here's, I don't know if this group and your site is capable of doing this, but I imagine if I made a beautiful, wonderful salad for lunch, and maybe with, obviously with some protein with it, I could take a picture of it and
Put it on your computer and upload it right onto your intention.
yeah, that might inspire someone, you know?
Absolutely. 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 Because you have to tell your present mind, your subconscious mind, that this is what my present wants to look like. This is what it is. If you say, I'll lose weight tomorrow, your subconscious mind is always going to say, I'm going to lose weight tomorrow. And it'll never presently lose the weight, because that's your subconscious mind is doing what you're telling it to do. I'm fat. I'm never going to lose weight. Hey, you're fat. You're never going to lose weight. That's what your subconscious mind is telling you, because you're allowing that. And that's why you have to really engage on that level, see what's going on, use techniques such as we said earlier, EFTs, self-hypnosis, all different types of programs, NLP, and to help sync that subconscious belief with your new conscious belief. And when you sync it, that's when the magic starts happening.
Exactly. And I just had this thought that what I'm going to suggest to my clients especially is take everything out of your pantry that comes in a box or a bag that is not healthy, put it on your table, take a picture of it, and post it in this group that we're talking about, and say, okay, these things I'm getting this out of my life. I'm not eating this food anymore. And so that's kind of the other side of the coin, rather than focusing always on the good stuff like the salad, but also it's empowering to say, I'm getting this out of my life, and here's visual proof of it.
Even adding to that, grab all that stuff, go out to a fire pit and light it on fire and videotape it and add that to your site. That's very symbolic too.
Fire celebration. Very cool. Wow. I'm so excited to get going on this site, which is, or the group on your site, which is your free gift to us.
Yes.
And there's a link where obviously you can click on the link and become a member of the group. And I really hope to see you there. It's going to be a blast.
I'm going to go online today and join it.
Great.
I'll share my intention on it too.
Okay. Yeah, me too. For sure. And there's so much more power in group energy. And this is a fallacy that we need to do anything alone, really. We don't really need to do much alone. And it's so much more fun and easier when you're in a group, even a virtual group. We're used to this by now. We're used to living with social media, and yes, it's still around because there isn't
it works.
It works, for sure. It works. All right. Well, let's see. I think that's about it. We're going to wrap it up, but this has been a really juicy interview. Tim Ray with UnitedIntentions.org. And, well, I'll see you in the group. And I hope to see viewers in the group as well. And as well, viewers, look in your mailbox tomorrow morning for yet more powerful interviews. Bye for now.
Bye. Thank you. Take care.
Hey, Tim.